My name is Takaya Mitsuhashi. I'm 28 years old, and I'm an ordinary employee at an advertising company. I would like to tell you about the mudslide that took place between me and my wife. I joined the company when I was 26, where I met a woman 2 years younger than me, named Makiko. We got married about 6 months after we started dating. Maki was modest and humble before we got married, but after marriage, she became a full-time housewife, where things changed a complete 180 degrees. For example, just when I thought we had bought a new house and were about to start our newlywed life.
Wow, what a lovely home. Your room is upstairs.
Soon after moving in, for some reason, my mother-in-law arrived. And so began my life living with my mother-in-law. By the way, I didn't know anything about it. I continued to live with my mother-in-law. Just after that, this time my wife's unemployed sister also appeared.
I'm going to live here until I find a job, so please take care of me, brother.
There were more and more roommates coming without my knowing. In addition, furniture and kitchenware had been added without my knowledge. I don't have a problem with them buying things, but I don't like it when they decide to buy things on their own without consulting me. The worst part? It was all with my money. I don't like to clash with other people. I don't like conflict with other people. So I've been letting things slide, but I couldn't let it go any longer and decided to warn my wife about it. Hey, where are you?
I'm going out with friends for a bit. Why?
There's a strange machine in the kitchen.
Oh, that's a great new machine that you can even make deep-fried food with.
Great. If it's that convenient. The price sounds inconvenient.
What's your point?
I'm just saying that you're being too selfish. If you're gonna buy something this expensive, you should have consulted me.
The mere old man and wife is a joint property of the couple, right?
I'm not insisting that it's my money. If it's joint property of a couple, it's not something you can use without permission, is it?
Don't be so stingy. It's not like I'm buying my own clothes or accessories. Besides, it's my job as a housewife to manage the money.
Aren't there limits? If you want to buy daily necessities or consumables, you're free to do so. But if you're going to make an expensive purchase like this, just let me know beforehand.
Okay, I understand.
And why did you decide to let your mother and sister live with us without saying anything?
You mind it? I mean, it's terrible that you don't like my family.
I don't hate them, and I didn't say no. It's the same as what I said before. I'm just asking you not to go ahead with it without consulting me first.
Ugh, what a pain in the ass. Now that you're married to me, can't you just put up with that?
What are you saying? That's a far cry from what you said before we got married. Women are scary. In fact, my wife was a beautiful woman with a good reputation within the company. It's fair to say that I won out over a lot of competition to get married to her. I was never the type to try to snub such a beautiful woman before our marriage. Or maybe I just didn't see the real her. That's why I just let her do whatever she wanted. I didn't have time to deal with domestic matters anymore. Ever since a new boss came to the company, and I became twice as busy as before. I heard that the new manager, Mr. Kizaki, is the son of the president, who's 35 years young. So it was understandable that he would become a department head at such a young age. However, he's also a man with a proven track record of working and training at an American company. So I was expecting an elite type who could do the job. But, contrary to my expectations... Sir, we can't turn around all this work! It's too much! Don't assume you can't before you even try! He was the kind of person who would take on more work than he could handle, and then throw it all out into the field. He had no management skills and no practical ability. In fact, he could be called a burden. His favorite saying was, "Japanese company employees are really unproductive. They'd never be able to survive in the US. In the US, merit is what counts. From now on, It will be a performance-based system. The only thing he would say is, in America, we this. In America, we that. He bragged so much that he worked overseas. It sounds good to say that you built a career in the US, but he probably couldn't keep up and had to quit or get fired, forcing him to return to Japan. So with my work getting busier, I came home late every day. I'm not sure if she's not here today either. She should be home at this hour. I mean, I come home pretty late as it is, but she was nowhere to be found. I decided to ask my wife about it. Where are you now, and what are you doing?
I'm having a drink with a friend from college in Shinjuku.
Again? You've been drinking with friends from college in Shinjuku every night.
All the chores are done, so it's up to me what I do with the rest of my time. I don't see the problem.
Oh, sure, all the chores are done. By your mother, not you. You're making her do all the housework and you thought I didn't notice?
If it's done, why are you complaining?
You don't do the housework, you don't work. What do you do all day?
Does it matter?
Ugh, anyways, so who's this friend you're with?
Why ask such a thing? You don't know them.
The least you could do is tell me the name.
Her name is Kirari.
I know that girl. I was introduced to her once when we were dating.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But that girl was with you at your last job, I think. Former co-workers.
And?
I thought you said you were having a drink with a friend from college just now.
Oh, I introduced you to another person with the same name. It's not her.
Kirari is such a rare name. You have two friends with the same name?
It's not that unusual these days. I don't know what you're talking about.
So when are you coming home?
I'll be home soon. You don't have to wait up.
Okay. I had a thin suspicion that my wife was having an affair, which became more and more clear with this conversation. I didn't want to believe she was already having an affair after being married for less than a year, but sadly, it was possible, given her usual attitude. Of course, I had no intention of crying myself to sleep. I immediately hired a detective to investigate. I thought she might be a little wary of me since she showed some signs of doubt, but the detective easily got the evidence. The report contained an unbelievable fact. I can't believe it. I can't believe it was you! What are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about. It's my wife. I had a detective look into this, so you can't get away with this. What do you have to say for yourself? Well, if I've been found out, I'm sorry. Where did you two meet? There's no way you and my wife worked together at any point in time. That was really just a coincidence. I was having a drink at a bar with a friend and saw an attractive woman, so I approached her. We hit it off and we fell in love. That attractive woman was my wife. I didn't realize it until after we had shared a bed together. The world is small, it really is. But it wasn't a one-time thing. You continued the relationship after you knew, didn't you? That's right. You're very indiscreet, aren't you? Or is it a common practice in the US? I understand your anger, but I can't help it. You can't choose who you fall in love with. Aren't you ashamed to be alive? I swear, I'm not feeling frivolous. Believe me. From my standpoint, it doesn't matter whether it's serious or it's just for fun. That's true. So are you and Maki going to break up? Most likely. I'll agree to the alimony. That won't be enough. Come to our house tomorrow. I ended up having a similar conversation with my wife as I did with a boss who slept with her. After that, I called someone. I would have avoided doing this if I could, but later that day, I invited Mr. Kizaki into my house. Of course, my wife was with me. What on earth are you trying to do?
Let's get a lawyer involved if this is to discuss divorce and alimony.
The two of them were getting on my nerves. Then another person opened the front door. That person was the president of the company that I worked for. In other words, Kizaki's father. And when I looked at the president who came into the living room... Dad? Why are you here? I'm sure he never dreamed that his father would come out of the house. The president silently packed up Kizaki, giving him an iron fist sanction. Then he said, "I'm so very sorry." Both Kizaki and Maki looked at me as if they didn't understand what had happened. That was to be expected, since the president was on his knees before me, a regular employee. The truth is, I had hit a mountain in the stock market when I was in college, and for the next several years I made a fortune in the stock trade. My annual income at that time was over $100 million. Then a friend of my father, the president of the company, came to me and asked me to invest in him. Although the company is now back on its feet, at the time, it was cash-strapped and in dire straits. The bank had refused to give him a loan, and I was his only hope. I agreed to it, but on one condition. I would be hired by his company. There was a reason why he hired me as a mere employee, not as an executive. Simply put, I was tired. I was tired of having all this money, and I had become distrustful of people who wanted to take advantage of it. I sincerely wanted to lead a decent life, and I decided to take this opportunity to lead a very normal working life. This is how I ended up in the strange position of being an employee and major shareholder. The president was the only one who knew of this, so it was no wonder that his son didn't know. Kizaki and Maki turned pale at first, and Maki even mentioned that there were some savings, but she didn't give any specifics. I couldn't say it because I still had remnants of distrust of people, but perhaps I was rather fortunate in the end. And... I'm very sorry!
I am so very sorry. Please forgive me too, because it won't happen again.
They bowed down too. Of course, I wasn't one to tolerate it, so I went with the money and got a divorce. I hired an attorney and sued them both for a hefty alimony. My assets had been there before I met my wife, and I bought this house before we were married. In other words, in terms of property division, the only thing that would go to her was the salary I earned as a company employee. Under such circumstances, she wouldn't be able to afford to pay so much alimony. To top it all off, Kizaki was disowned by his father and lost his job.